After a few sweet weeks of dead cat bouncing in a arguably bear market rally for crypto last week, reverted back to the mean, about a 10% drop in Bitcoin alone, obviously a larger drop in other assets, because that's what happens in crypto. When Bitcoin goes down, everything generally goes down more. We're going to talk about why this likely happened, what we can be looking forward to in the future. I also have an amazing guest today, Austin Woodward. He's going to discuss taxes, the Inflation Reduction Act, and what's happening in that sphere. You definitely do not want to miss this one, guys. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and use the outside corner of your elbow to tap the like button. If you use the inside corner of your elbow, it actually doesn't work. It's science. Hope that you guys all had an amazing weekend. The market basically traded sideways all weekend after last week's drops. Basically the same price right now as it was on Friday, certainly for Bitcoin, which gave us all a good excuse to, not pay any attention to the market this weekend, which are the best weekends in my very humble opinion, because we all know that weekend price action is suspect anyways. We also all know that short-term price action is somewhat suspect, and that if you want to just zoom out, ignore live streams, charts, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, so you can just basically buy some Bitcoin, dollar cost average, and go about your life, right? But the big story, obviously the title we have today, crypto markets falling, should have done in free fall. That would have been more dramatic, but I don't like to go with clickbait drama. Obviously, the narrative we're going to get is, once again, inflation concerns, right? Because we're still doing the dog and pony show of what inflation numbers are, but more importantly, apparently, how they're discussed, what the odds are of what the Fed will do in relation to inflation. That was cool. I should be a rapper. But as a part of that, we have this massive bill passed in the United States, the Inflation Reduction Act, which ironically has very little to do with inflation or reducing anything. It's actually basically an act about global warming and taxes. So to unpack what's going on with that, I have an amazing guest today, which is Austin Woodward from TaxBit. I'm going to bring him on right now. What's up, Austin? How are you, man?
Hey, Scott. I'm doing great. Happy Monday.
Yeah. So should we be, is it really about inflation and a reduction of anything, or is it basically an act on what's going to happen with the IRS and climate change?
Yeah, exactly. In order to reduce inflation, apparently we need to spend a lot more, right?
Yeah, it's science. Like I said, it's perfect.
Yeah, right, no, exactly. To summarize, I think what it means, it's definitely a lot more broad than cryptocurrency, let's be clear. How it impacts cryptocurrencies, I really think more on the IRS side, is it piggybacks on a lot of other bills that we've seen earlier this year. The infrastructure bill, which is transitioning tax reporting obligations from you and I as everyday consumers up a level to kind of the brokerages that broker transactions and helping us out more with cost basis tracking and form generation. And so I think what this means is the IRS is going to be expanding significantly its resources and technology investments in order to get ahead of this asset class. And so it's here to stay. That's the good thing. It's no longer, call it being ignored, thinking it's going to disappear one day. It's here. And now regulation is catching up.
I guess an inevitable but good problem to have, right? They wouldn't be spending billions of dollars with certainly at least part of that focus on crypto if they believe crypto is not going to be here in 5-10 years when all of this takes place. So we're talking about an $80 billion investment in the IRS, basically. I believe it's over 10 years, right? Which is, it's funny because I think a lot of people are panicking as to what it means for their taxes now. But if we know anything about government, it's that this is going to be a very slow burn and a very slow sort of build as to how they're going to do this. What I found very interesting is we keep seeing this report that they're going to hire 87,000 agents. And when you actually dig in, it looks like they're basically hiring 5,000 agents and like 70,000 support staff, right? So it's not as scary as it's being reported. Once again, very little fact in the way that we're seeing this in the mainstream.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It takes an army to go out and process a bunch of paper returns and figure out where the holes and gaps are. And I think aside from the people investment, it's really the technology side. That's the mandate. Is let's do a complete overhaul on the tax infrastructure that currently exists, as it was built a long time ago in COBOL, essentially old school languages, and it gives the IRS very little control and technology investment to go and do what they need to do.
So, I mean, listen, for you obviously are the CEO of TaxBit, so you probably have your finger very much on the pulse of what Americans and I believe the UK are doing in this space. We're kind of in a bear market here. 2020 has obviously seen some downside. What are you seeing from your perspective as far as customer growth? How many people are filing? How many people are taking it more seriously than before? Because I certainly remember 2017, 16 when I got into space, and the biggest pitch was you don't have to pay taxes on any of this stuff, which was completely wrong, but that's what people believe.
So Scott, that's exactly when I joined and started TaxBit. It was kind of 5-6 years ago, and things have really changed, right? And the whole reason I got into it was, hey, there's this misconception. Satoshi, whoever got the name wrong a little bit. It's not cryptocurrency by any means. It is crypto property. What that means is every single movement and disposition has to be reported, and that's not unique to the United States. That's about 90% of the world's countries. There might be different ways to measure that movement, but the whole concept worldwide exists. You need to track and report your gains and losses. And so fast forward to 2022, and I think the biggest thing that I like to help educate people is just because crypto's tanking, that should actually be a time that you are reporting your taxes more so than ever. Harvest those losses, really lock those in, because those losses can offset all of your gains in perpetuity until you lose up those loss amounts. You use them up. And so I think it's a great time to begin filing your taxes if you got into crypto this year and are feeling really down because you've lost a lot of money. Keep holding, sell low, repurchase, and then continue to hold. I think is a really good strategy.
That's interesting. Have you seen anything in any of these proposals that would eliminate the ability to do that? Because obviously the wash sale, which is what you're describing, our ability to tax loss harvest does not exist in other markets. And it doesn't even exist in other markets where the assets are viewed as property. Just for everyone who knows, a wash sale is basically you sell something, buy it back immediately, take the loss, and then you have a lower cost basis. So you now have a loss you can write off against future gains, and you have a effectively lower tax basis. You can't do that with stock. You can't report the loss as well. You can wait 30 days and buy it back, at which point it's allowed, but you can't do it right away. And so it's interesting we've been able to get away with this in crypto.
It's really interesting, Scott. And I think there's a couple of reasons why it's different than equities. One, let's just look at the adoption curve of crypto right now. This is a very low priority when it comes to regulators and IRS. They're still trying to figure out how to get people to issue 1099s and how to help people report their taxes. The actual mechanics of the wash sale rule is pretty low on the totem pole, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The second reason is there's this concept in crypto of highly correlated or nearly identical assets. And so even if you were to enforce the 30-day rule, what's going to stop cryptocurrency users from, all right, I use this DEX to then go into wrap Bitcoin or something 90% identical. And then as you just pointed out at the beginning of the call, the prices have gone literally pretty sideways, right? And so even waiting 30 days would have been the same exact result had you just immediately repurchased. And so I think there's a lot of other mechanics at play here that makes just crypto a little bit more unique and difficult.
Yeah, which obviously means that we shouldn't probably be applying laws from the 1930s and 1940s on how we approach it. But I guess that's a different conversation and also separate from the tax conversation. But it's an interesting point you bring up. I think a lot of people aren't like actively thinking about their taxes on a day-to-day basis and the way that they can maximize that because of the wash sale rule, for example, in stocks. So even if you're actively trading stocks, you're not thinking about it because it's not something you can just do right now. But right now, you can literally be locking in losses to not pay taxes for many months or years to come, and you can own the exact same amount of crypto.
That's exactly right. And so it's a no-brainer. That's something I think everyone should do. And another misconception about harvesting losses is everyone's like, well, I need to do it on December 31st. close
Yeah,
to
all
mid.
year, baby.
Exactly. So the goal is you're trying to catch a falling knife to some degree. You want to find the lowest point of your portfolio throughout the entire year, and that's the place that you want to lock in those losses. And that varies lot by lot. And so obviously technology and software is important in order to be able to have that knowledge to do so.
I mean, you and I were talking right before we obviously came online, and you were saying, there it is, right at the top of every tax return, right? Do you have exposure to crypto or not? I mean, isn't that the most glaring, obvious evidence that this is a real thing?
Yeah, and the draft 2022 1040 form is now out and being approved. And once again, they've even added more language around it and clarity about, hey, when to check this box, when not to. And so, yeah, there it is. Cryptocurrency is here to stay.
So a question I always like to ask tax people, I can't get a very clear answer. What about people who came in 2016, 2017, didn't really, report, thought that they could get away with it. Now it's 2022 and you have this sort of years of messy evidence. You don't know your cost basis for things. Maybe you haven't paid your taxes or taken your losses. What do you do if you're coming in fresh right now and you really haven't done this for a few years?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that, like you said it earlier, the IRS is years behind, right? And just because it's 2022 right now, and you might not have filed something in 2020, let's say, for example, doesn't mean that you're off the hook. With their audits are typically 2 to 3 years in arrears or on a lag. And so we're seeing John Doe summons being issued to large exchanges. There was one a couple of weeks ago, last week with SFOX. And so they're getting that information and data going years back. And so if you find yourself in that situation, our experience working with the IRS and just, hundreds of thousands of individuals going through the filing process each year, it really comes down to, are you making your best efforts in reporting? And so I always recommend right now, the IRS isn't, prosecuting or criminalizing people that go and back report. And it's easy to amend a tax return. It's not a big deal. And so just go and get it right. And to your point, Scott, you might see that it's beneficial because you've been able to harvest losses at some of your lots along the way. And you might have some tax beneficial outcomes on a go-forward basis. I
mean, I know the IRS doesn't give us credit for effort. Like there's no A for effort. But I feel like if they're going to go back, they're going to start going after the people who just didn't pay taxes, not like if you paid 100 grand but owed 105, right? That's just not if you made an effort, you actually filed, you reported your transactions. I think there's going to be an understanding that from our perspective and theirs, it's really hard to get it exact.
I think that's exactly right, Scott. And that's supported by the IRS saying, hey, we feel your pain and we want to start to shift some of this obligation up to the exchanges, have them give you 1099s and just tell you what you need to report. That's how it works in the equity world, right? You just get a form at the end of the year and you just file it with your tax return. And that's the ultimate goal, albeit it's a lot more complex.
Make it easy.
So, yeah.
Can the IRS identify people based on their wallet addresses? I think a lot of people think that they're anonymous and you're still responsible.
Yeah, there's a lot of good blockchain analytics software and tracing tools out there. So I always just say the most savvy approach is just operate as if it's not anonymous.
They know everything. Yeah.
These exchanges, you're on and off ramps to fiat all the way through the blockchain indexes. Regulations are, quite literally passed into law right now, and bills are being worked on and rigs to give the IRS those abilities. And that's substantiated by this Inflation Reduction Act, where there is going to be a lot more money now to pour into learning how to do all this.
I can't get over it. It's literally like if you wanted an excuse to print money, just give it a name that looks like you're doing the opposite and see if anyone's fooled. I can't. Right. And also I said this to you before, like, it feels like, I don't know, we have enough technology right now that hiring 80,000 people when you could probably spend like 5 billion instead of 80 billion on like the most advanced machine learning on the planet and do this technologically is so stupid. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a broader discussion, Scott, for sure. Other countries do it differently in a large degree. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, what a waste of money. And you talked about the wash sale. Are there any other tricks that you've seen cryptocurrency accounting, sort of any contortions and backflips that you can use to save money on taxes, or is it pretty straightforward? It seems like we actually take it on the chin worse than most industries.
Yeah, it's the latter. It is pretty straightforward. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, but as far as like tax optimization and strategies, it's make sure you're using baskets of assets and quantities of assets at the lowest point first when it comes to taxable losses.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Any final thoughts before I let you go for people who might be shitting their pants because they know that the IRS might be coming for them now and they actually have to deal with this?
No final thoughts for me. Just, be aware, use software. TaxBit's a great service. It's free to consumers. We work kind of at the top with these enterprises and exchanges to really try to modernize how this whole tax system is thought about and done. And so, Scott, it's been great being here. I know it's everyone's favorite topic for sure.
No, well, it's one of those things. It's inevitable, right? I mean, and so if you don't talk about it, you can pretend to bury your head in the sand, but at the end of the day, you might be with one who gets burned. And I think, it's our job to make sure people are aware of the actual realities of the situation and what's happening, and to eliminate some of the sort of fake news surrounding it.
Spot on.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much. I'll speak to you very, very soon. Bring you back when it's tax time. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks.
All right, awesome. So maybe it's not the most exciting topic in the world, taxes, but I think that perspective is actually very exciting, especially in light of sort of this huge movement by the IRS to, as Austin pointed out, to really take crypto seriously. And they're not going to take something seriously that they think is going to zero. So the whole everything's going to zero narrative clearly is dead from an IRS and government perspective, which I think is a good thing. I see you guys over here having a whole ass conversation among yourselves. Drew, Victoria, Des, Kristen, all of you guys here at once for the very first time in a very, very long time. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you all. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. So listen, we had the topic of this whole stream right now. I actually sometimes like to actually address the topics rather than just, pretend that we did a clickbait title and talk about other things like a schizophrenic, which I'm not going to do today. Why is crypto falling? The answer is nobody fucking knows. But if you look at the pundits, it's because we're correlated to other markets. And once again, we have spastic people talking about inflation concerns. Here you go. This is from Friday. But like I said, Friday to Monday, basically nothing has happened in the crypto market. I haven't even been checking, but it looks like everything's still flat here. 21,300 seems to be where we're parked. But market wrap, Bitcoin's price plummets on global inflation concerns. Basically, there was this horrible inflation print in Germany, and people went, holy shit, inflation's still a problem? As if it wasn't a problem like 5 seconds before or for the past, year, for as long as we've been seeing inflation rising. And apparently that caused them to panic. The stock market went down basically for 4 straight days, and crypto went down as well. But crypto saw kind of a major dump that did really technically surprise me, and I think surprised a lot of people. It flipped pretty bearish from most perspectives. Certainly for mean reversion traders who are looking at MAs. We'll look at the charts in a minute. But the story here, once again, is inflation, right? I mean, just because of a print in Germany, I don't understand how that rocks global markets when everybody knows that we have inflation, and inflation exists everywhere across the planet, probably at least in the United States. As Manny said right here, oh, did I miss it? Dang. Where'd it go? Where did it go? DXY is going silly. That's right. Basically saying the dollar is pumping, AKA everything else is dumping. That's how this kind of works, right? Listen, but I'm of the opinion that inflation has probably topped. I mean, I just paid, $4 for premium gas instead of over $6. Good thing. We get excited now when we get back the slightly higher prices than we had a few months ago. So stupid. But if inflation is in fact topping, we know that it's going to be a lagging indicator that the numbers are going to rise like we're seeing, and then they'll slowly come down. We saw it come down in the United States already year over year last time from 9.1 to 8.8 or whatever it is. So yes, it is inflation concerns, but that doesn't mean that it's rational. Bitcoin should not be dropping because of fear about inflation in Germany, but it just shows how spastic and overreactionary everybody is on these markets at the moment. I can't even see. There's some crazy things going on in the comments right now. It's going to be a timeout. Timeout for the guy whose name I'm not even allowed to say. Timeout for that person. Going timeout, buddy. Timeout for that. Anyways, so that is the story as to why things are dropping. I don't buy it, but that's the narrative that we have, and we have to pay attention to these uber ridiculous narratives. But here you go. Bitcoin's 10% weekly drop puts bears in control ahead of Jackson Hole Symposium. The Jackson Hole Symposium, of course, is when the Fed gets together and they sit in a circle and they jerk it and see who can hit the cookie. And the last guy has to eat the cookie. It's a game. That's a game that apparently is played in college. But yeah, I mean, this is where they talk about inflation and economies and things. And it's Jerome Powell and his friends, and they just get up out in there and they do that. Mike, you're going to have to edit that part out if you do it for audio. That was inappropriate what I just said. It just came out and I couldn't help myself. I think, what do they call that? Ookie cookie, something like that? It's gross. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. But that was a mythological game from my days of college that nobody actually ever did. But yeah, so listen, Jackson Hole Symposium is this Friday. And the expectation now is that things will be extremely hawkish because inflation numbers continue to go up all around the world. And now we have an increased chance of a 0.75 rate hike in September, which, by the way, everybody's fucking expecting a 0.75 rate hike in September. Everyone. Yeah, but here you go. Fed Chair Jerome Powell will likely try to take a more measured approach in Wyoming and emphasize that the tightening cycle isn't over yet. That's from David Young from Coinbase, who we've had on the show like 9,700 times. They also quoted Alex Kruger in the article saying that things had seemingly flipped bearish, and we could talk about why things have seemingly flipped bearish. Let's take a look very quickly at the weekly chart. Well, one very obvious reason that things have seemingly flipped bearish is because, I don't know, man, right below that 200. Right? We finally got back above the 200 MA. Do I need to talk about it again? We had never been below it for more than 1 week. We spent 7 weeks, got above it for 3 full weeks. Then the 4th week, now it's arguably resistance back here at around 23,000. Good news, it's going up. Good news, it's going up. Right? Oh, look, he's back. He's back. Now he's blocked. Goodbye. Anyways. So listen, if you're looking at this, you're thinking this is some sort of ascending pattern, ascending wedge, ascending channel, whatever, and likely to break down. So on the bad news is that if this is the market turning over again, which it looks like, is we once again probably would not be confirmed unless we make a lower low, of course. But we once again probably, maybe, likely, couldly, maybe be, have a lower high, right? So if this is that, then you're expecting that to confirm and get a lower low down here eventually. So listen, I'm not saying that will happen, but yeah, right now it just looks like a simple bear market rally, nothing to get excited about. Also lost the on the daily. Let's zoom in on the daily here. Lost the 50 MA on the daily, which we've been trading above since July 27th. Basically an entire month above that. And look at that nuke, 1 day. Not what you want to see, man. Not what you want to see. No. Not with the ookie cookie, right? And so if you're looking for good news, for this very moment, we have a series of higher lows, and this held a higher low by about $59, right? Low, higher low, higher low, higher low, slightly higher low. Now, listen, the most savage trade here obviously would be if that gets swept and goes up, right? Because then everyone's like, lower low, it's over, and up, right? And that's what we often see happen. But for now, as long as it's holding 20,700, it's no different than any of these sell-offs, except for in the velocity. But the volume wasn't that high, really, relative to these previous spikes. Volume not that aggressive, so nothing really new here. And it just all happened in 1 day. But we've seen these bad sell-offs. And every single time, as I pointed out before, I think we talked about this last week, every one of these has had these sort of shooting star, long wick up candles. Very clear, aggressive selling up here, right? Every time we reach a certain point, absolutely smackdown. So for now, there's some cause for optimism, which is that it's still making a higher low. Bullish market structure still intact from the lows. But when you look at the weekly, it's not great that we lost that 200. Now take a look really quick at the 4 hour. This is just an idea. I've shared it every single time. Listen, last week I tweeted, I was like, this is going to bounce, right? We were at RSI on the 4 hour was below 14. It's extremely oversold. We're going to get that reactionary bounce. Doesn't mean a reversal. For me, I want to see bullish divergence for a reversal. We have not seen that yet. What that would take was for basically price to come down and sweep this 20,800. That's only $500. Close a 4-hour candle below. RSI then would inevitably make a much higher low, and we'd have bullish divergence probably head to overbought, at least get another rally. Doesn't mean a reversal, but at least another rally. Wow, man, I like this guy. Comes back with a new name every single time. Have to ban him again. Locked. So yeah, that's what I'm watching on the Bitcoin chart. Not that inspiring. Really, I mean, this is just super sideways, right? Ether down 18%, taking it worse than Bitcoin, which was down 10% on the week. Down 80% as crypto markets in the red, the week in markets. Bitcoin and Ether were both trading down at the end of the week with Bitcoin below 22,000. Dog theme meme coins briefly rallied earlier in the week before the majority surrendered their gains. Do you know what dog coins rallying is a signal of? Impending doom. I don't have the data on it, but it feels like historically when dog coins see a major rally out of nowhere, that's usually the toppiest of all tops of the local bearish, bullish, crabbish market that you're experiencing. Yeah, Ether is taking it even worse, but that's because Ether had a much bigger bear market rally, right? Talking about mean reversion. Ethereum was like $800 and went to 2,000, 2.5 times up. Pretty good. And so you're obviously going to see that take a bit of a more dip if things go down. We all know that altcoins, including Ethereum, tend to be like, a leveraged position on Bitcoin beta. They move more aggressively than Bitcoin does when Bitcoin makes a large move in either direction. It's just how this market tends to work. So Ethereum taking it on the chin here. And a lot of this obviously is because, listen, man, we've been talking about the merge for so long. Everyone who wanted to buy because of the merge has bought because of the merge. And now people are starting to not care about the merge, even though it's coming, right? Like the merge is really exciting, but not if global markets are melting down. And I think people are starting, if they're going to have fears of inflation and fears of hawkish Fed, yada, 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 then obviously they're not spazzing and looking to buy random cryptocurrencies, of which Ethereum still is considered one. What do we got? Probably some dude being passive aggressive after losing a trade, maybe, or he just has no life and is a very bored person. Let's take a look at the Ethereum chart. So listen, I showed you guys that head and shoulders last week. Hilarious. I said that, technically this 1853 level was a short down to about 1680. Well, that worked and it kept going. And I would have pointed out that now, if you're zooming out here, this low right here was swept perfectly, which is a very bullish SFP right there. You wick down below, find liquidity and move. But now we've actually closed two candles, closed a candle and opened a candle below that line. So that's not really that valid anymore. I don't know, man. This doesn't look super spectacular at the moment. I'm hoping we see a bounce here because, like I said, Bitcoin made that higher low and Ethereum maybe has sold off enough here. But hard to get too utterly excited about what's going on right now. Oh, look, he's back. Look, he's back. Kind of hilarious. Crypto exchange FTX revenue soared 1,000% in 2021. I wonder what's happening in 2022. Not 1,000%. But FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried confirmed media reports of the exchange's incredible growth. The numbers are unbelievable. Unbelievable. It went from 89 million in revenue in 2020 to 1.02 billion in 2021. If you're wondering what they netted 388 million in 2021. That's profit. Top of expenses, 2,182.35% increase. They had made 17 million in 2020. Business went from 17 million to 388 million in net income. You wonder why Sam Bankman-Fried is buying up everything out here, right? They're buying everything they can. And most of that, the strong, large majority of it is on derivatives trading. I believe it was like 80% was on derivative and leverage and about 18% or something was on spot with 2% for people sending donations to Sam Bankman-Fried's handsome fund because they just like him so much. Think he's handsome and they sent him some money, some tips, right? But interestingly, FTX.US does not have leverage trading yet. It has stonks. They do not have leverage trading yet, which obviously is their major focus. They've been acquiring companies that allow them to have the license to potentially do that. but it's fucking game over when FTX gets approval to offer leverage trading in the United States, what I believe will happen this year. Architect Jeff asks, is there a scenario where FTX gets into financial trouble? I mean, never say never, but I can't see it. I would have also told you that Voyager was good to go, so fuck me. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a scenario right now if they're making massive profits, but obviously if we go into an extremely extended bear winter where we like do this for 3 or 4 years and all of a sudden those revenues start to disappear, I guess that could happen. But if there's one thing we know about FTX, that they're extremely, extremely lean. I mean, beyond, buying stadium rights and Tom Brady and Giselle and such. But in general, they operate with a very small team. They move quick and fast and have not scaled up to the thousands and thousands and thousands of employees as these other companies are now being forced to fire people. When I had Sam on the podcast, I can't remember if it was the first, second, third, whatever time, he basically said, yeah, we have these tiny teams, or at the time, it was like less than 100 employees, and they were basically just everybody works their ass off and they get it done. When you don't have that much overhead, there's not really a situation that they can't weather. So I wouldn't worry about that personally with FTX. Wouldn't worry about that with FTX. What do we got next? Finally, Australia unveils plans for crypto regulations. Unlike anywhere else in the world, crypto regulations will be informed by a phase of comprehensive token mapping research, according to Australia's treasurer. I read this twice and I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Let me tell you what it said. In a statement Monday, the Australian Treasury announced a multi-step plan to establish a crypto regulatory framework that it claims will be more thorough and better informed than those previously established anywhere else in the world. Key to the government's approach will be a form of market research it's calling token mapping. Token mapping will allow officials to view and evaluate nuanced trends in Australian crypto markets to best identify how crypto assets and related services should be regulated. So their plan, I guess, is to take a few years to map some shit, and that should give them some information on how things should be regulated, and then they're going to do the best regulation. Listen, I'm happy that this is on the radar of regulators, and clearly Australia isn't taking the heavy hammer approach of just saying everything's a security regulated to death. So it's good. It's good, but obvious also, like, what, why? I don't really understand. Can someone explain? Hey, anyone out there tell me about token mapping? I don't get it. They're going to be nuanced. They're going to take crypto out of the shadows. I don't feel like I'm in the shadows. Transforming Australia's payment systems. I'm just looking at all the quotes here. Identified notable gaps in the regulatory framework. Seems like a lot of word salad, but I'm hopeful that maybe they can get it right. And maybe they can get it right. I don't know, man. That's all the news. There's really not much happening right now. How are you guys doing? You guys got any questions? What's going on over here? What's going on? What's going on? How are you guys doing? Talk to me in the comments, because otherwise I'm just going to leave. Tony says that according to the comments from this person we've banned 5 times, Jesus needs a prostate exam. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. I'm from Australia, and this is just BS. You guys read, listen, I think that a lot of it is fake news, but like speaking of like regulations and stuff, like they're just like trying to ban everything out in the United States right now, banning a lot of books. Don't understand it, man. Don't understand canceling shit to pretend that things didn't happen in history. How do you learn a lesson from the past if you can't read that lesson? So stupid. Waiting for you guys to say something. I'm good, man. I'm good. Good. Really, nothing happened. Very boring weekend. Very boring time. Scott, you look nice tan. Holiday look suit you. Thank you. I got very, very tan in 9 days in the Bahamas. Super extra tan. And it was great. I think I look good. Thank you. Merge ETH. What would be the short upside price? Honestly, I think we saw it. I don't see a reason why price would pump right at the merge. Right? This is anything could happen, but this is a classic sort of, event where you buy the rumor and sell the news. Not because it's not a bullish event. It's like the halving. I've talked about this before, right? Nothing happens at the merge, right? It takes a very long time for the dynamics of the merge to play out. Like, yes, it will become more deflationary. Supply will be reduced. We'll see, the environmental impact dropping. Perhaps a lot more people will stake because of the guaranteed yield of being a part of the network. But I think The actual merge itself is not like a bullish event on that day and no reason for price to pump. I don't really see it. Don't really see it. What do we got? How's the turtle bite? Pretty much healed. Pretty much healed. Did I see it? Pretty much healed. It's been a couple weeks now. Scott, since you were bit by a turtle, when do you turn into Turtle Man? I don't know. I'm waiting. I was promised superhero powers, and I've seen nothing out of it yet. Can you look at Tesla, the car or the stock? I've got one in the garage. Finally, let's take a look at Tesla real quick. I'm not going to make a point of doing this for you guys, to be quite honest, right now. But I haven't looked at Tesla in a long time. Let me see what we got. Yeah, I know I need to share my stream. Oh, well, there's all kinds of wrong analysis up there. Let's see. What do we got? Tesla, $863. That was good. Let's see. That's definitely a clear line. We have a clear level here. Just going to kind of map it out here. Clear level right there. This level is kind of fugazi at this point. I would say here-ish. Look. Right? That was the top of this move. Top here. I would say you want to be above 947.77 to start getting excited. There's your little local level, 842. I think you're chopping between those. So, like, you know, if you're trading it locally, you're looking for a move like that, or you either buy that or you short that on the break. You wouldn't do anything on the breakdown, or you're looking for something above 947 to head back up to the highs. Not much to see. Not much to see, honestly. I mean, you can take but what you do have is lower highs this whole way and lower lows. So this is, you know, for now is in a bearish market structure, sort of heading on the way down. I don't know, man. Tesla ain't going to do something because of a chart. All kind of wrong analysis. That's what we do. Can't spell analysis without being anal. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to be wrong all the time. Scott, do you still have long-lasting COVID systems? No, I'm awesome again now. It lasted about 3 weeks to a month that I was struggling pretty hard. Now I don't really notice anything. I did have a horrible bout of insomnia for about 2.5 weeks, but I knocked that shit out with CBD the last 4 days. Crushed it. Try it out. I can take 2 Ambien. Like, hey, go to the doctor and be like, bro, I'm having trouble sleeping. I can take 2 Ambien and go run a marathon. That shit does nothing for me. Pills. My friend was like, try CBD, CBN. It's great. Take this oil. Dead. Amazing. But no, I don't have long-lasting COVID system anymore. How on earth was Scott swimming with gators, man? If you've ever been to Florida and you've ever been in water, you're probably swimming with gators, Kev. It is what it is, man. You just hit them with the wakeboard. You know, when I was in elementary school, 3rd or 4th grade, my school bus ran over an alligator right in the middle of the street, near nothing, no body of water discernible. There's an alligator in the street, ran him over. Big ass speed bump. Yeah. I mean, listen, man. Maybe I just told myself that weed's cool and it worked. I don't know. Is this a permanent background? I don't know, man. Could change color. Yeah, we swim with gators here because in Florida, A, we're built different, and B, we're not huge pussies like wherever you're from. Everyone, when I mentioned that on Twitter, Cantrin Clark wrote something about, oh my God, this guy got bit by a gator. I would never swim in water in Florida. Bro, if you think that the freshwater in Florida is bad, go surfing sometime off New Smyrna Beach, because that is the shark bite capital of the world. We got all the shit here. But guys, anytime you're in a huge body of water, there's a lot of shit in there that probably can fuck you up. If you're in the ocean, there's sharks close by. You know, doesn't mean they're going to come bite you. These alligators aren't trying to come by me either. I'm not saying I mean, that's what I said. It's true. I said it. I can't take it back now. Yeah, we swim with them. You got to swim with them. You missed my old room. It was just a thing with some stuff. Wasn't that great. I'm not. Ice bath is a solution to your sleeping issues. Ice bath 1 to 2 hours before bed will 100% start with 2 minutes, then 5 minutes. See, the thing about ice baths is they suck and they're horrible. And CBD, I can just take some CBD. That's a great idea. I know inflammation and long-term health and shit, but sitting in ice is terrible. When I was pledging a fraternity, they made me sit on top of a bag of ice while they like quizzed my pledge brother, and he got questions wrong. And every time he did it, I had to like just keep sitting on the ice. And ice on your like balls for an extended period of time is a horrible experience. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah, let me just go. The secret, actually, I appreciate it, Andy. It's good. Like, what happens if I sleep in the ice bath? Will I sleep good then? I don't know, man. Whatever. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get an alligator and I'm going to take an ice bath with it. And guys, the one thing that we didn't mention today, obviously, is Bullish down here. Got to check them out. It's right there in the thing. Going right down there. For the 7 of you who haven't heard me talk about Bullish ad nauseum, it's amazing because you get all the benefits of a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange. You mash them together. It's a mashup. Just check that out. Yeah, inflammation is at an all-time high. You can chart it. Ice bath is terrible in the beginning, but after bath number 500, get used to it. I'll do it every day. Yeah, no, I'm not committed. Not committed. I'm not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, sadly. Although if I was, I would be Michelangelo. That dude's dope. Anyways, guys, that is all that I have for you today. I got shit to do. Really. Yeah, really, I have stuff to do. And it doesn't include sitting here talking about crocodile ice baths with you guys. Don't ice your balls. Get some sleep. You guys are great. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
That's dope.